So like all brewing methods, there are some upsides and some downsides to the pour over. The downside is it's very involved. There's a lot to know. The upside is if you get it just right, this is one of the best tasting cups of coffee you can have. So in order to get a great cup of coffee, we need to be able to evaluate it through taste. So when you taste your coffee, if it's landing towards the front of your mouth in kind of a quick lemony sort of way, you might know that your coffee is under extracted. If, on the other hand, it goes right to the back of your throat and it's lingering and gives you kind of a dark chocolate sort of experience, you might be able to guess that perhaps your coffee was over extracted. If you get it just right though, those flavors will sort of combine in some sort of magic in the middle of your mouth, on your tongue, in this sweet, rounded way. And right there, that's where we want to be. So in order for us to control where the coffee lands on our tongue, we abide by a few brewing principles to help us get there. For example, the quality of the water that you use matters. We recommend for you at home to use natural spring water or some sort of delicious filtered water as the base of your recipe. As well, the temperature of the water matters. We recommend 200-degree water just off boiling. Helps to extract all the flavors from the coffee. After that, the recipe that you use will dictate the weight of the coffee, how it feels in your mouth. Again, on the side of our bag, we have some recommendations for you to use. And then ultimately, the grind size is what's going to control how extracted this coffee will be. If it's starting to taste, again, kind of lemony, we know that the extraction is maybe too fast, meaning the grind size should be a little bit finer. If the coffee's starting to get kind of dark chocolatey and kind of bitter, our grind size is probably too fine, so we want to back off just a little bit. So then to bring all those principles together, we use a very specific technique to brew the Chemex or the V60 in order to get the best tasting coffee. Lands right there in the middle of our mouth. It's sweet, it's round, it's delicious. And so this is how we get there. All right, now let me show you how we brew a Chemex here at our shop. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Chemex filter. And these are a little bit strange to use, I realize. We take the side that's a little bit thicker and we're going to place it towards the spout. And I'm going to take my 200-degree water and I'm going to pre-wet the filter. Just try to get water everywhere I can. This is both to rinse the paper flavor out of the filter and preheat the vessel so that I don't lose too much temperature as I begin to brew the coffee. So I give that a couple swirls, let it warm up a little bit, and I'm going to dump off my excess water here. And after that, I'm going to add my coffee. Now, for our recipe, we use 40 grams of coffee for our 640-gram final result in our brew. We'll include recipes with this video, don't worry. But I've got some of my coffee pre-ground here. Now, we use a little bit coarser grind than we do for our V60, but a little bit finer typically than, for example, an auto dripper. Add my coffee here, 40 grams. I'm going to take my Chemex now, and I'm just going to lightly tap on the sides to even out the bed, to have a nice smooth starting spot for it. I'm using a scale here below me to keep track of both the weight and the time. And I'm going to take my water. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add lightly some water to the surface of my coffee while starting my timer. And what this does, it allows my coffee, as I said before in a previous video, to degas, reducing the carbon dioxide that's surrounding the molecules of coffee here. It's giving you a chance so that once I add water to begin the brew, my water is getting direct contact with the individual coffee particles. Now again, this is how we teach our baristas to do it here at our shop. You can do it however you like. Many other coffee shops do it a variety of different ways, but the end goal is the same. We're going to let this coffee bloom for about 45 seconds. And now that I'm at about 45 seconds, I'm going to begin adding water to the center of the cone. Pretty high up. I'm trying to cause a waterfall cascading effect into the center of my Chemex. I'm going to make these small up and down motions and small circles in the center, digging out coffee, pushing it to the sides, and then starting from the center and working out in a spiral motion, slowly and with control, I'm going to bring out my spout to the exterior wall of the Chemex. I'm going to let this come down just a little bit. I added about 350 grams of water there. And here at about 1:15, I'm going to add more water to the center. This time, though, I'm going to make those small up and down motions only in the center. I won't be spiraling outwards. So here at the center, again, nice and high, add my water to the center, up and down, digging out that coffee. But now that I've established my cone, or the bed of the coffee in this Chemex, I want to protect that cone shape. So I'm just adding water now to the center to continue to dig out and cause turbulence in the bed of the Chemex. Here I went to about 450 grams of water, excuse me. I'm going to wait another 10 seconds, and now I'm going to add the final pour of water to the center. This time, I'm not even going to make any up and down motions. I'm just going to add directly to the center of the Chemex. You're going to see bubbles rise. You're going to see a little bit of turbulence under the surface. I'm going to keep a steady stream. I'm going to add about 600 grams of water and then stop my flow. And then I'm going to come back in and just very lightly add the rest of my water without disturbing the Chemex, up to about 640 grams of water. Now I'm finished adding water. I've caused turbulence to occur where the coffees are tossed around in the water. I've protected that V-shaped cone in the Chemex, and now I'm going to let it finish extracting. A Chemex for our shop, if we've got the grind size correct and the recipe correct, should take us about 4.5 minutes to fully extract through this paper filter. Okay, here at about 4.5 minutes or so, we're going to take this filter off as it's finishing the extraction. You'll notice down here it's starting to drip slowly instead of a steady stream. So I'm going to lift that right up and out, let it run off just a little bit more, and then I'm going to dispose of that filter. Okay, our Chemex is now ready to go. I give it a couple swirls to make sure everything's even, and it's ready to serve. And so for the V60, we treat this a little bit differently at our shop. The Chemex usually yields about 2 cups of coffee, whereas the V60 is generally a single serve. And we use this filter. It's helpful for this filter if you fold over the seam here first, before you open it up and apply it to the V60 cone. It stands up just a little bit better in there. So just like the Chemex, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add hot water to the filter, again to preheat everything and wash out any papery taste from the filter that might be present. Again, swirl that around, and I'm ready to go. For the V60, we use approximately 20 grams of ground coffee to a 320 gram final product. So I'm going to add my 20 grams here. Again, I'm going to take the filter and just lightly tap on the sides and even out the bed. Like that. Okay, and then I tear out my scale. I'm going to begin to add water to the surface of the coffee, again, just like I did with the Chemex. For the same purpose, I want to bloom out any of that carbon dioxide off the coffee molecules. And this is going to be a very light pour. Let it bubble up. This will sit here for 30 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to add water to the center of this V60 and a steady stream nice and high. That cascading waterfall effect, just like with the Chemex. Digging out from the center, staying in the center for a while, do slow up and down circular motions, and then spiraling outwards to the outside. Okay, I'm going to let a couple seconds go by, and then I'm going to go right back into the center again, adding water to the center, digging out. But this time, instead of staying in the center, I'm going to work my way out again in a spiral to the outside and let it sit. Here at about 300 grams, I'm going to lightly then add water into the center until I get up to about 320 grams. And here with the V60, I'm careful to make sure that my spout, once it goes to the exterior of the cone, never goes back to the center. That allows me that nice V-shaped cone to extract evenly through the center of the coffee. With the V60, we're generally going to let it extract for about 2.5 minutes or so. But again, taste your coffee. If you want it to be a little bit heavier, let it extract a little bit longer. If you're looking for something not as intense, maybe coarsen the grind up just a little bit. Okay, here at about 2.5 minutes, we've now hit our extraction time. Everything looks to be in order. The cone of the coffee bed is concave and looks good. I'm going to go ahead and take this off the server, let it drip just a little bit, and remove that filter. Set it aside. Swirl our final brew. And you're ready to serve. This is hard. I hate this so much. Dude, it is I want to be the guy that packs down there in the building left alone. I don't want to be on the interwebs.